Hi guys, welcome back to another Yap and Chill di mana kita bahas soal sambil chill. And today I will be yapping about LBA dari tryout ke-12-nya Sainsin. Okay, seperti biasa, just like the usual, we gotta read the question first, okay? First question. Based on the discussion in the thread, what is one key concern about technology's impact on childhood development? One key concern about technology's impact on childhood development. Kita langsung masuk ke threadnya. Kita cari apa sih kunci dari kekhawatiran soal dampak teknologi terhadap perkembangan anak. Okay. With the increasing presence of technology in our lives, it's important to consider its impact on childhood development. Are we seeing more benefits or drawbacks from the use of technology in children's daily lives? Berarti Sarahwi ini memandang dari dua sisi, dari benefits dan juga negatifnya, gitu. Selanjutnya, technology has definitely brought a lot of benefits to childhood development. Educational apps and interactive learning platforms make learning more engaging and accessible. Berarti TechSavvy_21 ini fokus terhadap benefitnya. While technology can be beneficial, I worry about the negative impacts it has on children's physical health and social skills. Ini berarti peduli akan peduli akan negatif impactnya terhadap physical health and social skills dari anak-anak. Nih, kids are spending less time playing outside and more time glued to the screens, which isn't healthy. Parenting pro, there needs to be a balance. Technology can be great, ini udah kelihatan ya, berarti dia lihat dari dua sisi juga, dari negatif dan positifnya. Teacher_Tom, from an educational perspective, technology has transformed the way we teach and how students learn. Interactive lessons and instant access to information. Ini dia sama dari dua sisi juga. Pertama dia bilang kalau banyak benefit dari technology for educational purpose, tapi penting juga untuk kita mengajarkan anak-anak untuk bertanggung jawab dalam menggunakannya, begitu. Concerned parent, I'm worried about the effects of too much screen time on my kids' attention spans and sleep patterns. There should be more research and guidelines on how to manage children's technology use effectively. As a parent and a gamer, I think technology can also be a way to bond with your children. Playing video games together or watching educational videos can be a fun and interactive way to spend time with them. It's all about finding the right content and setting limits. Jadi dia percaya kalau kita setting limit dan juga memberikan konten yang sesuai, teknologi itu akan memberikan manfaat, begitu. So what is one key concern about technology's impact on childhood development? Kita masuk ke opsinya. Technology makes learning less engaging for children. Ini dia berlawanan sama opini yang ini. Educational apps and interactive learning platforms make learning more engaging. Berarti salah. B. Technology exclusively promotes physical activity in children. Promotes physical activity in children. Ini salah juga ya, karena tadi justru itulah landasan dari kekhawatiran orang-orang di sini, bahwa teknologi itu bisa membuat anak-anak malas untuk beraktivitas secara fisik, gitu. Terus yang C, technology use can negatively affect children's physical health and social skills. Ini benar ya, inilah yang dikhawatirkan oleh para orang tua dan orang-orang dewasa seperti guru dan yang lain-lain, gitu. Number 2. Who suggests that technology should be used Who suggests that technology should be used as an educational tool while ensuring a balance with physical activity and social interactions? Kita langsung masuk ke sini ya. Technology should be used as an educational tool while ensuring balance. Nih, udah kelihatan ya dari Parenting Pro. There needs to be a balance. Technology can be a great educational tool, but parents and educators should also ensure that children get enough physical activity and face-to-face interactions. Parenting Pro, okay. Okay. Number 3, what specific issue does concerned parent highlight related to the impact of technology on children? Concerned parent. Nih ya, I'm worried about the effects of too much screen time on my kids' attention spans and sleep patterns. There should be more research and guidelines on how to manage children's technology use effectively. Concerned parent ini dia khawatir kalau dia khawatir akan dampak dari screen time yang terlalu berlebih pada attention span dan pola tidur dari anak-anaknya. Nah, dia ini juga beropini bahwa kita ini perlu loh lebih banyak research dan juga petunjuk untuk bisa memanage penggunaan teknologi buat anak-anak begitu. Kita langsung masuk ke opsinya. The idea that technology promotes increased outdoor activities and physical exercise ini salah ya. B, the belief that technology has no impact salah ya. Terus yang C, the call for more comprehensive research and clearer guidelines on the management of technology use. Yeah, this is the correct answer. Karena dia tadi juga bilang kalau there should be more research and guidelines begitu. Number 4, which of the following is not mentioned as a benefit of technology in the thread above? Okay, which of the following is not mentioned? Berarti yang enggak disebutkan sebagai dampak positif, sebagai manfaat dari teknologi begitu. First, enhancing digital literacy skills. Kayaknya ini nggak usah balik ke teksnya ya. Kita coba kalau nggak usah balik ke teks ya. A, enhancing digital literacy skills. Ini tadi disebutkan ya. B, making learning more engaging and accessible. Ini tadi juga disebutkan. C, providing opportunities for bonding through shared activities. Ini tadi juga udah disebutkan dengan menemukan konten yang benar, terus bisa bermain game educational juga. Terus yang D, reducing the need for physical activity and outdoor play. Reducing the need for physical activity and outdoor play. Berarti salah. Berarti ini salah, berarti jawaban yang benar. Karena ini kan fokusnya ke benefit ya. Padahal di sini dia bilang reducing the need for physical activity. Berarti kan itu negatifnya. Anak-anak jadi berkurang minatnya untuk beraktivitas secara fisik dan bermain di luar ruangan. Begitu. Number 5. The word engaging has the closest meaning to which of the following words? If you have watched my video before, I've mentioned that if you don't know the synonym of a word or like the closest meaning of a word, you don't have to like translate each one of the words that are in the options, but you can just like cocok-cocokan aja, okay? This is not the most accurate method, but sometimes I just use it karena dari optionnya tuh kadang udah kelihatan gitu loh mana sih kata-kata yang seharusnya masuk di sebuah kalimat gitu. Pertama-tama kita lihat kalimatnya dulu, konteks dari kata engagingnya itu seperti apa. Ini, educational apps and interactive learning platforms make learning more engaging and accessible. Dari kalimat ini kita tahu bahwa konteks dari engaging itu positif ya. Kalau educational apps dan interactive learning platform itu dia bikin belajar itu lebih apa? Ini yang ditanya itu kan lebih apa? Lebih engaging. Nah, engaging itu apa? Gitu. Tapi kita selanjutnya juga tahu kalau sehabis engaging itu ada kata accessible, mudah diakses. Berarti konteks dari engaging dan accessible ini sama-sama punya positive meaning begitu. And even if I don't explain this, I think you guys already know what engaging means, because it's like a commonly used word gitu. Karena engaging itu kan konteksnya positif ya. Berarti kita cari kata-kata yang artinya positif juga. Boring itu artinya positif enggak kan, karena dia membosankan artinya. B, interesting ya artinya positif. C, difficult artinya enggak positif, berarti kita coret, bukan itu berarti jawabannya. D, simple and accessible, enggak ya, enggak cocok ya. Terus yang D, obsolete. You don't have to know the meaning of obsolete. Dari sini kita udah kelihatan yang benar bahwa jawabannya tuh B, interesting and accessible, engaging begitu. Hi guys, sorry for the pause. Ternyata tadi teksnya kepotong. I'm so sorry, this is supposed to be a chill video, tapi I was being too chill dan kurang memperhatikan. But let's move on to number 6. Which of the following is the closest meaning to plethora as used in the text? Okay, so this is the text. Dan plethora dipakai di sini. Just like before, if you don't know the meaning, you don't have to like translate each one of the words that are in the options. Karena I didn't know what plethora is when I worked on this tryout. So, yeah, first, A, scarcity. Scarcity itu artinya kelangkaan ya. Berarti kita langsung masukin ke sini. Each classroom includes a plethora of well-organized learning materials that are attractive to the child. Each classroom includes a plethora. Scarcity kan artinya berlawanan, so this one is not the answer. B, collection. Each classroom includes a collection of well-organized learning materials that are attractive to the child. Collection, ya bisa jadi. C, abundance. Each classroom includes abundance of well-organized learning materials. Ini juga bisa jadi. D, simplicity, ini nggak mungkin ya, nggak cocok sama konteksnya. And E, challenge, nggak mungkin juga. So the answer is between B and C. Which of the following is the closest meaning to plethora? Closest meaning to plethora. Kalau kita lihat di sini, includes a plethora of well-organized learning materials. Plethora ini kata-kata yang kayak jarang kita lihat ya, jarang kita temui. Plethora seperti kata-kata yang gede. Jadi kalau misalkan kita lihat dari opsi B dan C, mana yang artinya itu lebih luas dan lebih gede antara dua option itu? Collection itu kan common word ya, kita udah sering ketemu collection ini di mana-mana. Sedangkan plethora ini seperti kata-kata yang extravagant, kata-kata yang klasik, like it was used in the 80s or something ya. Jadi kita cari yang maknanya lebih tinggi lagi. So the answer is abundance. Abundance itu kan berlimpah artinya. Sedangkan collection itu cuma ya koleksi. Berarti lebih di gede-gedein yang mana, yang abundance kan. So yeah, that's the answer. Begitu. Okay, moving on. Number 7. Which of the following sentences restates the idea in the second phase of the absorbent mind, 3 to 6 years old? Second phase of the absorbent mind. Nih. 3 and 6 years old is called the conscious stage. Children maintain their absorbent minds during this period, but they become more conscious and directed in the experiences they seek out. They are motivated to expand on their skills and want to be able to make their own choices and do things themselves. Oke, kita bisa langsung masuk opsinya. A, children begin to take full responsibility. Gak mungkin ya. Dari sini juga udah gak mungkin karena mereka masih anak kecil dari 3 sampai 6 tahun, belum bisa bertanggung jawab sepenuhnya begitu. B, children learn through imitation, developing skills unconsciously. Ini berarti jelas salah karena di usia 3 sampai 6 tahun mereka itu udah masuk ke conscious stage. Conscious itu artinya sadar. Oke, jadi kalau kita lihat opsi B ini berlawanan sama jawaban yang seharusnya. C, children focus on mastering specific tasks and skills. Mastering, enggak dong, karena mereka masih kecil ya, enggak mungkin mereka bisa mastering itu gitu. D, children start to explore and imitate others around them. Imitate others around them itu enggak juga ya, karena ini they learn through imitation itu ada di first phase between birth and 3 years old, berarti bukan. Terus yang E, ya berarti jawabannya yang E ya. Children become more active in selecting their own learning materials. Ya ini ada di teks ini. Begitu. Number 8. What is the word they in the first paragraph? They in the first paragraph. During the first plane of the development, children have what Montessori referred to as an absorbent mind. They constantly. Teks sebelumnya yang ini kan berarti Terus children-nya ada di sini nih. Have what Montessori referred to as an absorbent mind. They ini kan pronouns ya. Dan pronouns itu berarti sebelumnya akan diikuti oleh subjek. Subjek dari teks sebelumnya. Subjek dari kalimat sebelumnya itu apa? This one, children. Berarti they di sini dia refer ke children. Begitu. Number 9. What characterizes the unconscious stage of the absorbent mind? Ya, ini kita nggak usah balik ke teks, kita bisa tahu dari ini, kata kuncinya ada di sini. Unconscious, secara tidak sadar. Berarti opsi yang bilang kalau dia itu conscious pasti salah. Berarti ini salah. Ini A, salah. Karena dia bilang conscious. B. Children rely on teachers to direct their activities. Ini juga nggak mungkin ya, karena dia kan nggak sadar. Berarti dia nggak bisa berkomunikasi ke guru dong, karena dia masih menyerap apa yang di sekitarnya itu secara nggak sadar begitu. Nah, berarti jawabannya yang ini sih, karena children imitate and unconsciously develop basic skills. Mereka mengembangkan basic skills secara tidak sadar begitu. Number 10. Which of the following best describes Montessori classrooms for children aged 3 to 6? Okay, I'm gonna redirect the page to this one. Montessori classrooms for children aged 3 to 6. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah. In order to support this stage, Montessori classrooms let children explore freely during uninterrupted blocks of time, so children can learn as much as they want without being reined by the teacher. Begitu. Okay, back to this one. I'm sorry guys. Berarti kita langsung ke opsinya. Yang pertama, strictly controlled. Ini berarti salah ya, karena children dari usia 3-6 itu sama Montessori diberikan kebebasan untuk mengeksplor. B. Highly structured schedules that emphasize group learning. Ini dia juga salah, karena tadi dia nggak mengemphasize group learning, nggak membahas itu ya. C. Flexible environments with child-led exploration and decision making. Ya, ini jawaban yang benar. Udah kelihatan ya. Flexible environments. Kuncinya ada di sini. Flexible kan berarti anak-anak itu diberikan kebebasan ya, fleksibel gitu. Mereka diberikan kebebasan untuk mengeksplor. Okay, number 11. Which of the following assumptions underlies the study's suggestion that limiting food intake could help people maintain a regular exercise routine? Underlies the study suggestion. Apa sih yang mendasari sugesti dari research-nya itu apa? Oke, kita langsung ke teksnya. Ya. In this study, Dr. Yuji Tajiri and colleagues from Kurume University School of Medicine in Japan investigated the relationship between exercise and ghrelin levels in mice. Food intake and wheel running activity were compared in mice given free access to food and those fed only twice a day for a limited time. Mereka ini bikin studi membandingkan dua tikus, yang satu dikasih makan dikasih free access to food, dikasih makan bebas gitu. Terus yang kedua itu dikasih limit, diberi batasan gitu. Although both groups ate a similar amount of food, the restricted mice ran significantly more. Berarti tikus yang makannya dibatasi tadi, yang makannya terbatas, itu dia lari lebih banyak gitu. This finding suggests that ghrelin may play an important role in the motivation for both feeding and exercise in response to restricted eating plans. Oke, berarti kita langsung masuk ke opsinya. A. Hunger always leads to increased levels of ghrelin in humans. Ini berarti salah ya, karena tadi disebutin kalau increased levels of ghrelin itu dia juga bisa menyebabkan orang jadi aktif untuk bergerak, bukan cuma lapar doang. Jadi itu salah. Sorry. Okay. Option B. The motivation to exercise in mice is the same as in humans. Kita simpen dulu jawabannya. C. Overweight people are inherently more motivated. Salah ya, karena nggak ada guarantee, belum tergaransi gitu loh kalau mereka tuh pasti udah lebih termotivasi untuk berexercise, kan masih dipelajarin tadi sama si Dr. Yuji tadi. D. Ghrelin has the same effects on exercise motivations in humans as it does in mice. Ini bisa kita simpan juga. E. Regular meal times naturally decrease appetite. Ini salah juga. Salah juga karena nggak disebutin. Oke, jadi jawabannya ada antara B dan D. The motivation to exercise in mice is the same as in humans. Itu B. Dan yang D, ghrelin has the same effects on exercise motivation in humans as it does in mice. Apa yang melandasi dari studinya itu tadi? Motivation to exercise in mice is the same as in humans. Ini kan masih dipelajarin ya. Berarti bukan ini dong, bukan B dong. Terus kalau yang ke D, ghrelin has the same effects on exercise motivation in human as it does in mice. This one is the correct answer. Begitu. Karena mereka itu melakukan studi dengan anggapan bahwa ghrelin di tikus dan di manusia itu mereka sama-sama punya efek. Yang pertama untuk rasa lapar tadi, dan yang kedua untuk memberikan motivasi beraktivitas. Begitu, makanya mereka pakai tikus sebagai model. Number 12. Which of the following best summarize the passage? I don't think we have to read the text as in whole. Kita bisa langsung lihat di opsinya aja. Kita pakai logic. Which of the following best summarize the passage? A. Obesity is caused by bad eating habits and sedentary lifestyle, which can be prevented by dieting and exercise. Okay, this one could be correct. B. A study found that ghrelin increases hunger and decreases the motivation. Decreases motivation for exercise. Ini berarti udah pasti salah ya. C. Restricted food intake increases ghrelin levels in mice, which may enhance exercise motivation, suggesting ya ini bisa jadi. D. Hunger plays a critical role in promoting physical activity. Ghrelin mimicking drugs. Ini nggak ada ya. Tadi nggak dibahas. E. While ghrelin levels influence exercise and motivation in mice, human studies have already confirmed. Nah ini jelas salah. Berarti jawabannya antara A dan C. Terus kalau kita ingat-ingat dari teksnya tadi, mostly kan membahas tentang studinya itu tadi ya. Studi tentang ghrelin levels dengan tikus sebagai model. Jadi dia nggak berputar di obesity. Berarti yang A salah. So the correct answer is C. Number 13. What is the overall tone of the passage? Ini nggak usah balik ke teks juga, kita udah tahu. Pessimistic and critical, no, dia nggak pessimistic. B. Optimistic but cautious. This one is the correct answer. Optimistic and but cautious. Cautious itu kan waspada ya. Mereka orang yang menulis passage-nya itu mereka optimistic bahwa bisa aja loh ghrelin restricted food intake itu memberikan dampak yang sama buat manusia kayak dampak buat tikus. Tapi dia juga cautious, waspada, karena di sini if it can be established in clinical practice, it not only opens up new cost-effective diet and strategies, but may also indicate new therapeutic. Wait, not this one guys, I'm sorry. Nah ini nih, jawabannya yang ini. Wait, I'm sorry. Ini gini, so much more work is needed to confirm. Itu, cautious, dia waspada bahwa masih perlu dikonfirmasi gitu. Number 14. What is the primary purpose of the study conducted by Dr. Yuji Tajiri and colleagues? The primary purpose, tujuan dari studi yang dilakukan itu apa? A. To confirm that ghrelin increases food intake in mice. Bisa jadi. B. To investigate the role of ghrelin in motivating exercise in mice. Ini bisa jadi. C. To develop ghrelin mimicking drugs for human obesity treatment. Salah ya, karena dia kan nggak buat itu. D. To prove that fasting is the best strategy. No. To compare. No. Berarti jawabannya antara A dan B. A. To confirm that ghrelin increases food intake in mice. Ghrelin increases food intake in mice. To confirm. Enggak ya. Kalau kita balik ke teksnya lagi, just to make sure, investigated the relationship between exercise and ghrelin levels in mice. The relationship between ghrelin and exercise. Di sini dia membahas tentang exercise gak? Yang A. Enggak kan, dia membahasnya tentang food intake. Padahal kita primary purpose-nya dari studinya itu ya ini, motivating exercise, ghrelin in motivating exercise, begitu. Number 15, what is the main idea of the second paragraph? Main idea of the second paragraph. This one, the second paragraph ya. Obesity is a costly and growing global health epidemic that needs more effective intervention strategies to avoid serious complications, including heart disease and diabetes. Food restriction and regular exercise are the two main cost-effective strategies to prevent and treat obesity. However, the condition is often associated with a sedentary lifestyle and bad eating habits such as snacking and binge eating. Oke, jadi dari sini kita tahu bahwa ini membahas tentang obesity. Obesity sebagai salah satu gangguan masalah kesehatan, bla 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 bla, dijelasin di sini. Terus dijelasin kalau food restriction and regular exercise itu bisa membantu cost effective strategi yang murah buat what is prevent in Indonesia? Mencegah dan mengobati obesitas, begitu. Okay, number 15. What is the main idea of the second paragraph? Kita langsung masuk ke opsinya. Obesity is linked to sedentary lifestyles and bad eating habits, making exercise routines difficult. Ini disebutin ya di teks. Tadi ada di... Wait. Ini dia. Consequently, adhering to a regular exercise regime can be difficult due to an inability to exercise for a prolonged period or a lack of motivation. Ini sama kayak opsi yang A. Obesity is linked to sedentary lifestyles and bad eating habits, making exercise routines difficult. Karena bad eating habits-nya itu tadi, motivasi seseorang yang mengidap obesitas untuk exercise itu dia jadi berkurang. Makanya exercise routines-nya menjadi difficult, menjadi susah dilakukan, begitu. Oke. Number 16. Which of the following is not true about CNC milling? Oh, it's a long text, guys. So, bear with me. Kita mulai dari sini. CNC milling is used in many applications because it has allowed complex shapes to be cut using computer-aided design. Oke, kita bisa lihat dari opsinya dulu ya, baru ke teks. I'm sorry. Using computer-aided design, ini bener ya. Sedangkan kita disuruh nyari yang nggak bener. It produces a lot of waste material. Kita cari di sini, dia produce a lot of waste materials nggak? Nih. However, the process produces a lot of waste material. Berarti benar. Yang C. It introduces unwanted surface stresses that can weaken the component. Kita cari di sini. Nih, which can weaken it. Component which can weaken it. Berarti ya benar. Terus kalau yang D, it is a new technique that is still under development. Kita cari di sini. Material scientists are currently developing the process of 3D printing. Dari sini udah kelihatan, developing the process of 3D printing. Yang di-develop di sini apa? 3D printing. Sedangkan di sini yang disebutin apa? CNC milling is a new technique that is still under development. Berarti salah. So this one is the correct answer. Number 17. What is the word ductility in the second paragraph most closely mean? Ductility. As always, you don't have to translate every word in the option. Just go to the sentence first. Ductility in the second paragraph. Nih. Titanium is the most common metal that is used for the screw due to its high strength, good corrosion resistance, and ductility, so it's easy to shape into a screw. Ductility-nya ada di sini. Oke. Kita nggak perlu tahu arti dari kata-kata di opsinya tadi apa. But kita bisa lihat dari sentence-nya ini. Titanium is the most common metal, metal yang sering digunakan karena dia itu high strength, kuat, good corrosion resistance, dia aman dari karat, and ductility, so it is easy to shape into screw. Berarti dia akan membahas tentang kelebihan dari titaniumnya itu. Sekarang kita masuk ke optionnya. What is the word ductility? Ductility, resistance to corrosion. Tadi udah disebutin di teksnya, berarti nggak mungkin ini. Flexibility and ease of shaping, bisa jadi. Strength under pressure, ini nggak juga, karena strength tadi kan udah disebutin. Toughness against wear, ini juga udah disebutin. Aesthetic appearance, nggak dong, nggak sesuai dong. Tadi nggak membahas soal appearance sama sekali, ini membahas tentang durability-nya. So, the correct answer is B. Number 18. Which of the following paraphrases best reflects the content of the third paragraph? CNC milling is used in many applications because it has allowed complex shapes to be cut using computer-aided design. However, the process produces a lot of waste material. Material scientists are currently developing the process of 3D printing with metals. Imagine you got a blah 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 blah. Panjang ya teksnya. But kita bisa langsung menyesuaikan dari opsinya. Outdated and has been replaced. Ini kita udah pasti salah ya, karena outdated and has been replaced. Salah. 3D printing with metals and ceramics offers a promising but still expensive. Kita pastiin dulu, ini bisa jadi benar, tapi kita pastiin apakah dia expensive. Imagine you've got a vat of powdered metal and you fire a laser beam at it, and the metal will melt fuse where the laser beam is focused. A layer powder is added, blasted. Ini right here. However, since this method is in its early stage, it is still relatively expensive. Berarti jawabannya benar. Ini dia, B. 3D printing with metals and ceramics offers a promising but still expensive alternative to CNC milling as it minimizes material waste. Ini kalau kita udah paham akan teksnya tadi, kan tadi udah disebutin kalau CNC milling itu dia produksi banyak material waste, kayak sisaan gitu ya. Nah, terus 3D printing ini dia lebih menjanjikan, promising, tapi dia lebih mahal gitu. Number 19. What is the main idea of the passage? Okay, we don't have to go back to the text. Kita bisa lihat dari opsinya. CNC milling and 3D printing are both essential for the future of dental implants. Ya, bisa jadi. Kita bisa simpen dulu. Kita cari mana yang udah pasti salah dulu. Material scientists face challenges in creating biomaterials that meet specific requirements. Bisa jadi titanium and ceramics. Ya, salah. D. Dental implants have revolutionized dental care, reducing the need. Salah. Reducing the need ini udah pasti salah. E. Advances in mechanic technologies have made biomaterial implants more affordable. Ini juga udah pasti salah. So the answer is between A and B. Nah, tapi dia di sini enggak berputar di dental juga. Karena apa? Karena di sini di akhir passage kelihatan ya ini, the next time you use a plaster, get a tooth fillings, have stitches put in, itu dia juga pakai ini tadi, pakai CNC milling and 3D printing begitu. Berarti dia salah. So the correct answer is B. Material scientists face challenges in creating biomaterials that meet specific requirements. Challengesnya tadi apa? Yaitu tadi kalau CNC milling dia waste-nya banyak, kalau 3D printing dia mahal, dan lain sebagainya. Which of the following is the best summary of the passage? Okay, we don't have to go back to the text. Kita bisa mengandalkan memori kita kalau kita ingat. A. Dental implants are made from titanium and ceramics shaped using CNC milling or 3D printing. Enggak dong, kan summary ya. Summary itu kan berarti ringkasan. Sedangkan ini tadi dia cuma dibahas di salah satu paragraf aja. B. Material scientists are advancing biomaterials for dental implants. Okay, this one. Karena apa? Karena dia mencakup semua paragrafnya. I forgot tadi ada berapa paragraf. I forgot how many paragraphs are in there. But tadi setelah baca sekilas, kita udah tahu kalau material scientist itu dia sedang mengembangkan biomaterials untuk implant di bidang gigi tadi, focusing on durability, resistance, and manufacturing efficiency. Though challenges, bener kan tadi dia menyebutkan kalau masih ada tantangan seperti CNC milling and 3D printing. Begitu. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you find this video helpful, and if you have any question or any correction, you can just comment down below. I would be glad to receive that. Thank you. Bye. Have a lovely day.